Yellowstone National Park, established on March 1, 1872, is widely recognized as the world's first national park. It covers a vast area of approximately 3,472 square miles, 8,991 square kilometers, stretching across the U.S. states of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. Famed for its unparalleled geothermal features, abundant wildlife, and dramatic landscapes, Yellowstone is both a geological wonder and a cultural landmark. The park's history is intertwined with the broader story of environmental conservation, indigenous heritage, and scientific exploration, making it a site of immense historical and ecological importance. This detailed account will explore Yellowstone's history, from its indigenous roots to its modern status as a symbol of conservation and environmental awareness. The park's unique geology, ecosystems, wildlife, and conservation efforts are central to understanding its historical and contemporary relevance. Before European settlers and explorers arrived, Yellowstone was a vital region for many Native American tribes. Archaeological evidence shows that humans have lived in the Yellowstone area for at least 11,000 years, making it one of the oldest continually inhabited areas in North America. The park's vast landscapes, which include mountain ranges, rivers, valleys, and geothermal features, provided sustenance and spiritual significance to tribes such as the Shoshone, Crow, Blackfeet, Bannock, and Nez Perce. The Shoshone, known for their presence in the high-altitude regions, used the park's geothermal areas for cooking and other everyday activities. The geothermal features in particular held spiritual meaning for many tribes, with some believing that the hot springs and geysers were sacred places where the natural and spiritual worlds intersected. These indigenous peoples had a deep connection to the land, practicing sustainable hunting and gathering techniques that allowed them to coexist with the rich biodiversity of the region. However, their presence was largely erased from the narrative as European settlers moved in, culminating in policies that excluded Native Americans from the newly designated national park. European exploration of the Yellowstone region began in earnest in the early 19th century. The earliest documented European to explore the area was John Coulter, a member of the famed Lewis and Clark expedition, 1804 to 1806. After leaving the expedition, Coulter ventured into the wilderness of the Rocky Mountains, including the Yellowstone region, and returned with descriptions of geothermal features that seemed so fantastical, they were dubbed Coulter's Hell. His accounts were met with skepticism and were considered to be exaggerated at the time. Coulter's explorations were followed by a series of expeditions conducted by mountain men, fur trappers, and traders in the early 19th century. But the Yellowstone region remained largely unexplored by outsiders until the mid-1800s. As westward expansion intensified in the latter half of the century, more systematic surveys began. The Washburn-Langford-Doane expedition of 1870 was a pivotal moment in Yellowstone's history. This group, led by Henry Washburn and Nathaniel P. Langford, documented the geothermal wonders and scenic beauty of the area. Their reports helped to bolster interest in preserving the region as a public space. Langford, in particular, became a passionate advocate for the establishment of Yellowstone as a national park, paving the way for the historic legislation that followed. On March 1, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signed the Yellowstone National Park Protection Act, making Yellowstone the first national park in the world. The creation of the park was a radical departure from the common practices of the time, which focused on exploiting natural resources for economic gain. The idea of setting aside land purely for public enjoyment, scientific study, and conservation was groundbreaking and set a global precedent. At the time of its establishment, Yellowstone's protection was largely symbolic. There was no formal infrastructure or management system in place, leading to problems with illegal hunting, resource extraction, and vandalism. To address these challenges, The U.S. Army was brought in to manage the park in 1886. The Army's presence lasted for 30 years, during which they laid the foundation for the park's long-term protection and governance. The establishment of the National Park Service, NPS, in 1916 formalized the management of Yellowstone and other national parks. The NPS aimed to balance public access with conservation, ensuring that the park's natural wonders would be preserved for future generations. This ethos of preservation has remained central to Yellowstone's mission ever since. One of the most striking features of Yellowstone is its location atop a massive supervolcano. The Yellowstone caldera, formed by a series of volcanic eruptions over the past 2.1 million years, is one of the largest active volcanic systems on Earth. The most recent eruption, approximately 640,000 years ago, ejected a massive amount of material and left behind a caldera, a large bowl-shaped depression that spans much of the park today. The caldera's volcanic activity is responsible for Yellowstone's famous geothermal features, including geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles. The area continues to experience volcanic and seismic activity, which is closely monitored by scientists. Although the likelihood of a catastrophic eruption in the near future is low, the potential impact of such an event would be global, with massive effects on climate and ecosystems worldwide. Yellowstone is home to more than 10,000 geothermal features, representing half of the world's total geothermal phenomena. The park's geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles are among the most famous in the world, drawing millions of visitors each year. Old Faithful. Perhaps the most famous of Yellowstone's geothermal features, Old Faithful is renowned for its predictability. It erupts approximately every 90 minutes, shooting columns of steam and water up to 180 feet into the air. Old Faithful has become a symbol of Yellowstone and remains one of the most popular attractions in the park. Steamboat Geyser. The tallest active geyser in the world, Steamboat Geyser, can shoot water as high as 300 feet during its rare and unpredictable eruptions. While its eruptions are less frequent than Old Faithful's, Steamboat Geyser's immense power makes it a must-see for visitors when it does erupt. Grand Prismatic Spring. Yellowstone's geothermal features aren't just known for their eruptions. The Grand Prismatic Spring, the largest hot spring in the United States, is famous for its vibrant colors. These colors are caused by heat-loving microorganisms, thermophiles, that thrive in the different temperature zones of the spring. The brilliant blues, greens, and oranges of the spring's surface are a hallmark of Yellowstone's otherworldly landscape. The park's geothermal areas are also significant for scientific research. Geothermal activity supports unique ecosystems that have become crucial for studying extremophiles, organisms that thrive in extreme environments. Research in Yellowstone has led to discoveries with applications in fields such as microbiology, biotechnology, and even the search for life on other planets. Beyond geysers and hot springs, Yellowstone boasts other hydrothermal features that highlight the region's active volcanic nature. Mud pots are acidic hot springs with limited water supply, creating a mixture of bubbling mud and gases. The park's most notable mud pots, such as those found in the artist's paint pots, emit a fascinating array of colors due to the minerals dissolved in the mud. Fumaroles, or steam vents, are another prominent feature in Yellowstone. These are the hottest geothermal areas, where water boils away before reaching the surface, leaving behind only steam and gas. Roaring Mountain, with its numerous fumaroles, produces a constant hissing sound that underscores the intensity of the geothermal activity beneath the park. Yellowstone National Park is one of the most biodiverse regions in North America, thanks to its diverse habitats, ranging from alpine meadows to dense forests and vast grasslands. This variety of ecosystems supports an array of plant and animal species, many of which are iconic symbols of the American West. The park is home to one of the largest concentrations of megafauna in the contiguous United States, including bison. Yellowstone's bison herd is the largest and one of the few remaining free-ranging, genetically pure bison populations in the U.S. Bison have roamed the Yellowstone region for thousands of years, and their presence is central to the park's identity. However, the management of bison populations has been a controversial issue, especially concerning their migration outside park boundaries and interactions with livestock. Grizzly bears. Grizzly bears are one of the most iconic species in Yellowstone. While their population has rebounded in recent decades due to conservation efforts, they remain a species of concern due to habitat loss, human-wildlife conflict, and climate change. The grizzly bear's role as an apex predator in Yellowstone is crucial for maintaining ecological balance. Wolves. The reintroduction of gray wolves to Yellowstone in 1995 is considered one of the greatest success stories in wildlife conservation. Wolves were extirpated from the park in the early 20th century due to hunting and predator control programs, leading to an overpopulation of elk and subsequent ecological imbalances. The reintroduction of wolves has had a profound impact on the park's ecosystems, controlling elk populations and leading to the recovery of vegetation and other species. Other mammals. The park is also home to elk, moose, mountain lions, coyotes, pronghorn, and mule deer. Each of these species plays a role in maintaining the delicate balance of the park's ecosystems. Yellowstone's rivers, lakes, and wetlands support a wide variety of bird species. More than 300 bird species have been recorded in the park, including bald eagles, ospreys, trumpeter swans, and sandhill cranes. Many of these species depend on the park's healthy waterways for nesting and feeding. Yellowstone's waters are also home to several fish species, including the native cutthroat trout, which is a keystone species in the park's aquatic ecosystems. Efforts to protect native fish populations from invasive species such as lake trout have been a central focus of recent conservation efforts. Following its establishment as a national park, Yellowstone quickly became a popular destination for tourists. The construction of the Northern Pacific Railway in the late 19th century made the park more accessible, leading to a boom in tourism. Early visitors often stayed in luxury hotels, such as the Old Faithful Inn, which opened in 1904 and remains a historic landmark today. The park's early development was characterized by the creation of scenic roads, trails, and lodges that catered to wealthy tourists, while later efforts focused on making the park more accessible to a broader segment of the population. This shift was part of a broader trend toward democratizing access to national parks in the United States, aligning with the National Park Service's mission to preserve natural and cultural resources for public enjoyment. Yellowstone has long been a source of inspiration for artists and photographers. In the late 19th century, the works of landscape painters like Thomas Moran and photographers like William Henry Jackson helped to popularize the park and garner support for its preservation. Moran's vivid paintings and Jackson's photographs were instrumental in convincing lawmakers to establish Yellowstone as a national park, as they provided visual evidence of the region's unique beauty. The connection between art and conservation continues today, as many artists, writers, and filmmakers use Yellowstone as a setting to explore themes of wilderness, conservation, and the human relationship with nature. Yellowstone faces numerous environmental challenges in the 21st century, with climate change being one of the most pressing. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and increased frequency of wildfires are already affecting the park's ecosystems. Warmer temperatures are altering the distribution of plant species, which in turn affects the wildlife that depends on them. Wildfire management is another critical issue in Yellowstone. Fire plays a natural role in many of the park's ecosystems, but climate change has led to more intense and frequent fires, which can have long-lasting effects on both flora and fauna. Park managers use a combination of controlled burns and natural fire policies to maintain a healthy balance between fire prevention and ecological regeneration. Tourism is a double-edged sword for Yellowstone. The park attracts over 4 million visitors annually, generating significant revenue and fostering public appreciation for natural spaces. However, the influx of visitors also puts pressure on the park's infrastructure and environment. Overcrowding at popular sites like Old Faithful, the Grand Prismatic Spring, and Yellowstone Lake can lead to resource degradation, wildlife disturbances, and damage to trails and facilities. Park officials have implemented various strategies to mitigate the impacts of tourism, including encouraging off-season visits, limiting access to sensitive areas, and improving visitor education about responsible behavior. Despite these efforts, managing the balance between accessibility and preservation remains an ongoing challenge. Yellowstone serves as a living laboratory for scientific research. Its unique ecosystems, geothermal features, and wildlife populations provide invaluable opportunities for studying biodiversity, climate change, geology, and ecology. Scientists from around the world come to Yellowstone to conduct research on topics ranging from microbial life in extreme environments to the effects of wolf reintroduction on the broader ecosystem. The park's research efforts also have global implications. Studies conducted in Yellowstone contribute to our understanding of broader environmental issues, including the impacts of climate change, the importance of predator-prey dynamics, and the resilience of ecosystems in the face of human pressures. Yellowstone National Park is a place of profound natural beauty, scientific significance, and cultural heritage. As the world's first national park, it holds a special place in the history of environmental conservation, serving as a model for protected areas around the globe. Its unique geothermal features, diverse ecosystems, and rich history of human interaction make it one of the most remarkable landscapes on Earth. While Yellowstone faces numerous challenges in the modern era, ranging from climate change to the pressures of tourism, it continues to be a symbol of the enduring value of wilderness and the importance of preserving natural spaces for future generations. The park's legacy as a pioneering force in conservation, science, and public enjoyment ensures that it will remain a treasured part of our global heritage for centuries to come. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you soon.